Just getting a few last things set up. I have a little bit less time today, so I'm hoping to kind of go quickly through things. Let me see. Whoops. Yeah. I set it up differently on the For the Rest of Us website. If anyone's watching through there, it's actually embedding the Twitch feed, which is easier than the YouTube feed. So, cool. So for anybody who has not seen this before, what I am doing is I'm recording lessons for an upcoming course. The course is called Going Deeper with R. And you are seeing kind of the live kind of behind the scenes as I make the course. So this isn't really, I mean, you can definitely learn through watching this, but just know that I'm going to kind of go through things multiple times, tweak things, that type of thing. So you might learn as much about making an online course as you do about R. Cool. So I am recording DataViz lessons. Oh, and the other thing I'll say is if you are watching via Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter, if you put comments anywhere, I have access to those. I'll just do a quick shout out. If you're watching, I'd love to know who you are, where you're watching from. Put that in the chat and I will get that. Cool. So I am talking about data visualization. Just to kind of go back to where I left off last time. This was kind of the chart that I ended up with, where I had students making annotations, and they were using these annotations to kind of explain their chart. And I gave the example, actually, let me see if I can, oops. I started out with this chart from the Financial Times, which does has really excellent annotations. And then kind of, we're doing it in a really simple way. But hopefully people get the idea and then think about doing more complex annotations. So the kind of the last section of the DataViz, or the last piece of the DataViz section of the course is about what I call making it sparkle. So up to this point, I've had kind of, I've focused it around kind of best practices. So I've talked about highlighting findings, decluttering charts, using text to explain, and now making it sparkle is kind of the last piece. Cool. So I'm going to start out by talking about not using defaults. I think I'm actually just going to record a very brief section on this that'll kind of start this section. Actually, no, you know what? I'll just go straight into tweaking the spacing around the plot. All right, let me just do one thing. So actually, I'll just put this, whoops, you can't see it because this is, I'm going to put this here. So this is the reports that I've been working on. So I have a report on third grade math proficiency in the state of Oregon that I have been working on as an example as the teacher. And then I've had students working on an Oregon schools diversity report. So I just need to load this back at the point where it was yesterday when I stopped recording. Okay, I'm going to run this. All right, so here's the chart that we had last time. Okay. I'm going to minimize this. All right, let me go ahead and, whoops, start this. All right. In this last section, we're going to talk about making your visualization sparkle. The first thing to keep in mind is do not use defaults. No matter, no, let me think how I want to say that. Yeah. All right, let me start again. The first thing, no, sorry. All right. The last section that we'll talk about, the last thing that we'll talk about, the final best practice that we're going to talk about is making your visualization sparkle. One thing that you definitely do not want to do is use defaults. We've already gotten rid of some of the defaults in terms of axis titles, that type of thing. Let's talk about a few other ways we can get rid of these defaults. So you will see a lot of this type of chart. This is the very first chart that I made. You can tell that it is a ggplot chart. That default gray background really gives it away. So there, what am I even saying? Let me go back to the beginning of this. The final best practice that we'll talk about is making your visualization sparkle. The first way to do that is by simply not using defaults. This is the first chart that we made. It is very clearly made in ggplot, and you can tell because we haven't tweaked any of the defaults. It uses that gray background. It uses the fonts that ggplot uses by default, which I believe are Helvetica. And it just, we haven't done any tweaking to it to make it our own, and it just screams default. So let's talk about a few kind of smaller tweaks that we can make and how they can really improve your plots. All right, hold on, I've already done. So I actually want to show, talking about tweaking spacing around the plot. But I want to show an example of it that doesn't look good before I show an example that does look good. Oh, you know what? I think what is going on here? Somehow this is within my code chunk. I think whoops. All right, so I'm just adding a slide to show the chart the last time we made it, which will have a bigger gap here, which I think looked kind of goofy, and then we'll talk about how to get rid of that. All right, let me let this render. It should go faster after this first time. Okay, refresh this. Okay, perfect. The first thing that we're going to talk about is tweaking the spacing around your plot. If you take a look at the plot that I've been making so far, you'll see that it has a ton of space here. So let's talk about how we can get rid of that to make our chart look better. All right. Obviously, I'm going to edit between me doing this. Okay. All right. Hold on, I actually just need to check, make sure I get the code that I want to get. Okay, it's 0.1 and 0.5. All right. So here's the plot that I had last time. The way I'm going to adjust this is I'm going to adjust the no, I'm going to use the expand argument. Okay. Let's go back up here so people can see this whole thing. All right, here's the code as I left it last time. The way we're going to deal with this is we want to adjust, I keep saying that wrong. All right, here's the code as we left it last time. The way we're going to deal with this spacing here is we're going to use the expand argument in the scale x discrete function to get rid of this. So the way I'm going to do it is this. The space around our plot here is governed by that scale argument. So I'll do scale x, and I'm doing discrete because that's the type of data that I have here. The 2 years are discrete. And so now I need to use the expand argument. And I'm using then expand equals expansion, which is a function which enables us to relatively easily set the amount of expansion that takes place on either side of our plot. So there are two options. There's mult or add. Add will simply, oh man, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this. Hold on, let me actually look at the text. If anyone watching has a good way of explaining this, please let me know. Within the expansion function, there are two options. You can see I've actually opened the help file for expansion. For the mult, I might actually just show a couple examples and then kind of talk through it. So for the expansion function, I've actually opened the help file here. There are a couple different ways that we can set the amount of expansion that happens on either side of our plot. I think it's actually easiest if I just show you a couple. So if I do add equals, let's say 1. So if I do add equals 1, you can see it's actually added basically 1 additional year here. I mean, it hasn't added the text, but it's added the same amount of space for 1 additional year here and here. And I could do the same thing. So I could do like 2. It's adding 2 additional years. If I add if I do add equals 0, you can see it has no space on either side. We don't want that because that's actually cutting off our annotations. So let me do this. Let me do like 0.5. And that gives us half an additional unit on either side. Here's the thing though, I want less space here and more space here. So you can actually add 2 arguments. So I could do like 0.1 and 0.5. Need to add another close parentheses. And now you can see I have less space here and more space here. I know it's cut off, but if I knit it, it still shows. I don't actually want, well, I'm not going to actually knit it because I've showed that several times. Let me stop that. I can also change this to mult. And if I run that, hold on, I actually need to like try it myself to see something. Just as an example, I could also, say, change the expansion on my y-axis up here. So I could do add equals C. I want 0. I don't need to expand it on the bottom, but say I wanted a little bit of extra space on the top. I could then do like 0.25. Let's see if I think that's good. And that's expanded, it's given me additional, or it's expanded it up to 125%. Okay, I don't actually want to do that. I just wanted to kind of show you how it would work if you were doing it for that. Whoops, I think I have an extra close parentheses. There's also, I think what I'm going to do is I think the add is a lot more intuitive. So I think I'll just do the add and I'll mention mult. There is also a mult option, which you can read the documentation. It says the limits of the scale are expanded outwards by whatever value you give. So it's multiplied by that. Play around with it. For this plot, I think using add is going to be the simplest way. All right, I need to actually copy the code in here because I adapted it slightly from what it had been. Whoops. All right, let me hit that again. Okay, I just need to let this finish knitting. update that. Cool. All right, and you can see now the plot that we have here. Whoops. Wait a second. That did not do what I wanted it to do. Oh, I am missing a new slide. Come on. Whoops. All right. So you can see the code that we have here now with the line added here at the bottom to show how we tweaked our spacing around our plot. And there is our nice plot with the perfect amount of spacing. For your turn, I want you to use the expand argument within scale x discrete to remove any gaps in your plot. Okay. All right, let me bring up this one. Let me close my report. Let me bring up the students report, restart my session, run it down to here. Okay, run this code chunk. All right, I am going to adjust my spacing here. So I'll do scale x discrete. I'll do expand equals, expansion, add equals, and I want to remove space here, but keep space here. So I'll do C, I'll try 0, see what that does, and I'll do, I don't know, 0.5, which is what I did on my plot. Okay, that looks pretty good, except, oh wait, I cut off my annotation there, so let me do that. Perfect. All right. Okay, I am going to stop recording, rename this file, tweak spacing, start a new recording, close this, open this, restart my session, run that, I'll minimize this. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to update these slides. what I'm showing people now is how to make like a very simple kind of custom theme. Okay, let me refresh this. All right. The next way that we're going to make sure we're not using defaults is by customizing our themes. Let me start again. The next way that we're going to make sure that we're not using defaults is by customizing our theme. I'll post a link in the Learn More section to some already built themes. But what we're going to actually do here is talk about how you can make your own theme that you can consistently reuse so that all of your plots have a consistent look and feel that is definitely not default. So, the nice thing is it's actually quite simple to make a very simple default theme. Let me not say it's simple, that I don't like using that. The nice thing is it's relatively straightforward to make a simple theme that you can reuse over and over again. Let me show you how. One thing that I notice I'm no, hold on. All right, I am going to take all the elements of our theme here, and I'm going to combine them into a function. So I'm going to create a new function, which we talked about in the previous section, in the data wrangling and analysis section. So I'm going to call it themedk, and I'll write the word function. And then I'll use that open brackets, close brackets. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the aspects of this that are about my theme. So I'm going to start with theme ipsum, and then I'm also going to take the theme function where I'm telling it the plot title is Markdown, and I'm going to put that within themedk. So now I have themedk, and I ran that code, and I have a function. So if I actually open that, I can see here's my function. The nice thing is now, like if I run this, it's not going to have any of my themes. Whoops, sorry, let me run that. If I run this here, it doesn't have my theme applied, right? Because I took those lines out. But now I can type themedk, and it applies that. So it's really nice because I can use this if I'm making multiple plots in a report. I can now just use themedk throughout. Or if you're using it in multiple reports, you have a function that you can use. And obviously this is quite simple, right? It's just theme ipsum, a couple lines of that, and then a theme function line, but you could do all sorts of formatting, name it, give it a name, give it a function, and then use it throughout your work. Okay. Oops. All right, for your turn, I want you to make your own theme by combining elements of the theme function and or themes from other packages, theme ipsum, for example, which is what I did. And then I want you to add this theme to your plot, this theme function to your plot, removing any code that is now redundant. All right, I'm going to close that. Whoa. That's weird. My RStudio just crashed. Open that back up. Open up Oregon Schools Diversity Report. Okay, run it down to here. Okay, why is it going so slow? Okay. All right, here's what you had before. I am going to make my own theme. So I'll call this theme student. I'm going to create a function. Whoops, and I actually messed up. I don't need that there. So I am just going to copy, I'm going to cut those two lines out of here, remove that, and now I've got theme student. So I'll do here plus theme student. Cool, and I applied all that to this plot. Now, let me show you actually. If I tried to knit this, it's going to throw an error. Let me show you. It's going to give me this error here, could not find theme student. Just remember that whenever you write code, if you're accessing this function here, the function needs to be created before that. So I actually need to pull this up here, then I run it, then I have it here. So now when it runs down here, it has access to it. So if I knit this, this will successfully knit. Okay. And you can see here my output was created. Okay, I'm going to stop that, open this back up, restart my session, run down to this point. Let me see what I've got next. All right, so I'm talking next about using custom fonts, and these are actually it's surprisingly challenging. There are actually some new approaches to doing this, but it's not going to happen. It's not quite ready for this course. So I'm going to use ways that this has been done in the past. So there's a really helpful blog post from Andrew Heiss, I hope I'm saying that correctly, that talks about dealing with custom fonts. Just thinking how I'm going to handle it. Like, do I want to just point people to this? Let me see one thing. Yeah, I need to run that chunk again. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm gonna actually wait just a minute. I can hear my kids heading outside, so I'm gonna hold off on that. All right, let me go ahead and try this. I think they're about to head out. Actually, sorry, just one thing. Next, let's talk. Next, let's talk about. Next, let's talk about customizing the fonts that you use as part of your plots. First thing you're going to want to do is you need to import any fonts that you want to use in order to ensure that R has access to it. I will say, starting off, that there are many particularities in terms of how R deals with fonts. So I think the safest way is to use a package called ExtraFont and import all fonts to ensure that R has access to them. So the way we're going to do this is using the font_import function, and you can either tell it to import all fonts or select certain fonts by using the pattern argument. Let me actually flip over here and show you how this would work. So I'll do library ExtraFont. Obviously, you're going to need to install the ExtraFont package, assuming you don't already have it. And then at this point, I can do font import pattern equals, and I use this Carla font for all my R for the Rest of Us materials. So when I do that, you're going to see it says going to take a few minutes, continue, yes, no. I'll type yes, and then it worked. And I can check that it worked by using this function, the fonts function. So again, let me just flip back here, fonts, and you can see all of the fonts that I have access to from within R. Okay, now if I were doing this, I would actually then delete this line. I don't actually need to import it every single time. I just need to import them once. It's kind of like installing a package. You install it once, and then you just load it. But once we've actually installed the font, once we've imported it, we don't need to do it again. Wait, is that even true? Wait, it's the load fonts. Hold on. Yeah, so that's what I should show people. Why don't I have that here? Okay, I need to update this. Right. Actually, I should show that. here. All right, let me rebuild that. After we've imported any fonts that we want and made them available to R, in each session, what we want to do is this. We want to run the load fonts section. In each session, what we want to do is this. We want to run the load fonts function. That will ensure that fonts are available to us for our plotting. So if I flip back here, you can see, oh, I wrote load fonts wrong. You know what, I'm going to actually just go back to the very beginning of this section because I want to make sure I get everything exactly right. Okay. Okay, there we go. One of the ways that we can make sure our plots do not look like defaults is by customizing our fonts. First thing we're going to want to do is import our custom fonts. We're going to use the extra font package, which obviously you'll need to install if you don't already have it. We'll load it, and then we'll use the font import function. You could just run font import with no arguments, and that will import all fonts on your system. It'll take a little while. Or you can use the pattern, as I've done here, the pattern argument to choose specific fonts. So I know, for example, I want to use the Carla font, which I have access to in my local system, and I use for all or for the rest of us materials. Let me actually flip over here. So I'm up at the top. I would just run library extra font. And now I will do font import pattern equals Carla. It's going to tell me this may take a few minutes. It won't take very long at all because I'm just doing one font. If you're doing all of them, it definitely may take a few minutes, especially when you do it the first time. Once we've imported fonts, now we just need to load them. We don't need to import them each session, but we should load them to make sure that they're available. And we do that using the load fonts function. So the way I would do that here, I would delete this and now just do load fonts. I can run that. It's not going to do anything, but it'll ensure that the fonts are available to me. And the one way I can check this, to see what fonts I have available, is just to use the fonts function. So if I run that, here are all the fonts that I have available, including Carla right here. And there's that fonts function. actually think I'm going to just do it here. All right, now, actually, let me just show this first. Because fonts end up being fairly complicated when working in R, I would strongly suggest that you take a look at this article by Andrew Heiss. I refer back to it regularly, and it tells you, it gives you kind of step-by-step instructions to ensure that you can have access to custom fonts. It also talks about full instructions for Mac OS as well as for Windows. I can't really get into every single detail because I don't know all the systems that people are going to have and the particularities, but this article is really going to be your best bet to troubleshoot if you do have issues. All right, now that we have access to our font, the first thing we're going to do is set what's known as the base family within our theme. So if I look at the help file for theme Ipsum, you're going to notice that the first argument here is base family. What that does is it sets the base font family. So if I type, for example, base family equals Carla, run that, and then run this again, now you can see it's using a different font, and it's using that for the title. It's also using it for the axis text. However, if you look closely, you're going to see that this text here and this text here are not changed. So we actually need to change the text or the font in a couple other places. Whenever you use geom text, you have to set the font family there. So the way we're going to do that is family equals Carla. Okay, so I'll run that. And now this font here has changed. However, you're going to notice that the annotation is still the default Helvetica. So I'm going to need to add here family equals Carla. And now I'm using Carla throughout. Okay. And I'm going to actually just use a single slide here where I show this. I wonder if this is going to fit. I'll have to see. Okay, let me knit that. Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, I small in the wrong place. Hit that again. Okay. Let me refresh that and see. Let me actually try this without the title, see if that fits on this slide. All right, perfect. Wait, I need to add one more line there. Okay. All right. For your turn, I want you to begin by installing the Extra Fonts package and then loading it, of course. Run the imports function to make all fonts on your computer available in R. It might take a few minutes. Then I want you to run the load fonts function to make sure those fonts are available. Then change all text in your plot to use a custom font and choose whatever font you want. Note that you will have to do this in a few different places. All right, do that. Close that, open up this. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and do this. So if I were doing it, I would load my package up here, extra font, run that. Obviously, if you need to install it, you can do it wherever. I tend to use the console because I don't want to run that over and over. I just want to run it once. So you can do it there. I don't actually want to do that because I obviously do have it. So then you would do import, font import. I'm not going to do it because I know that I have access on my computer, but that's what you would do. And of course you could do pattern equals if you want a specific font. So I'll do load fonts. I'm just looking at the fonts. It's telling me what I already have available. I'm thinking about what font I might actually use. Use this IBM Plex Sans, which I think is a pretty nice font. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the base family equals IBM Plex Sans. So I'm going to run that within my theme student function. Okay, I'm getting an error. This error is actually fairly common when you're working with fonts. Let me run that again and make sure. No, I do have access to that. Strange. Let me try this Inter font. Oops, I don't need to run that again. Okay, this is not what I want. Try that. Why am I getting, of course I'm getting an error. Let me see the fonts again. Use Courier New. Let me try that, see if that works. Oh. Let me get it to work and then I'll actually record it. Man, this is going slow. What's going on here? There we go. Yeah, somehow it didn't like those fonts. That's fine. I'll just use Courier New. All right, so I'm going to do load fonts to have access to everything. I'm going to use Courier New because it's very distinctive, so I'll be able to see if it's working. Let me try that again. Scroll down. All right, I'm now going to run load fonts. I can see all the fonts that I have. I'm going to use Courier New to ensure that it's really obvious. You'll see it's a very distinctive font. So I'm going to go down here, and first I'm going to change base family. So I'll do base family equals Courier New. I'm going to run this function, and now I'll run my code here. Perfect. Now you can see the title as well as the axis text very clearly different. So we know that that's working. I don't actually think this is a great font, but as a way to show you how this works. So now we need to add this in a couple places. I'm going to do family equals Courier New in geom text. So that changed it here. And then I'll also do it in my annotation layer. So family equals Courier New. And now it's changed it here. All right, cool. Not sure if anyone is actually still watching at this point. If you are, thank you. I am going to wrap up for today. I'm actually going to go edit some videos that I recorded last week. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.